Hello, everyone. Welcome to another day of Charmed Chats and Happily Ever After Sprints, where we're talking to fantasy romance authors all month, and we're going to play some games and spend time writing. I hear an echo. Hold on. Let me check my tabs, make sure I don't have something open I shouldn't have open. Yeah, I did have something open. Sorry about that. Okay, and we're going to spend some time writing. I'm Shannon. I write under the pen name of SC Huston, and you're here on my channel where I publish content about self-publishing, writing, and do weekly writing sprints. I lost my place. I'm also part of the Self-Publishing Tips and Tricks podcast with Ben Pick from Writing to Write and Morgan Lee, and I'm the founder and conference chair of the AuthorTube Writing Conference, now heading into its third year. Besides what I do here on YouTube, I am a fantasy romance and YA fantasy author with a passion about writing about broken characters who face adversity to become better versions of themselves. And there may or may not be a dragon, but there's always love to find. And today I am on air with Devon from Devon Gambrell. She's actually here on YouTube as well, so some of you guys may recognize her. We are going to spend a little time learning about her writing and her brand new debut novel. We're also going to play that fantasy romance themed game into a half-hour sprint. So now let me do her bio. Devon lives in North Florida with her husband and two teenagers. She is an avid reader of anything and enjoys sewing and planning, a writer of dark fantasy and steampunk with a splash of romance, and the founder of All Call Indie, a database of freelancers for indie authors from our writing communities. So welcome to my channel, Devon. That's actually one of our shortest bios that we've had on. So if you would like to add more and tell us a little bit more about you, like what's your YouTube channel about? What do you do there and stuff?
My YouTube channel is a mishmash of reading, writing, and planning. I haven't really delved too much into the planning because I have I'm unmedicated ADHD, so I just try and keep a tight schedule on a lot of things. But other than that, I was in the Navy for 5 years where I met my husband. I've got an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old and 3 dogs on a 1-acre homestead. So
we were talking a little bit about that. I was like, well, we have a lot of similarities. I also met my husband when I was in the military. We were both Army, although he was a captain on boats in the Army. I spent 7 years in, and he retired. Your hubby retired. Yes. We've got one that's out of school. He's actually off in the military now, but we've got one who's in 5th grade. So a bit of difference with our boys. We have 3 cats, 3 dogs though.
There you go. Well, we do have 2 outdoor cats.
Okay. Well, we're getting 2 dogs later this year. We're taking a trip to Europe in July. It's the first time we've taken a family vacation in many years. But after we didn't want to get puppies and then leave, so we're gonna wait until after our vacation, and then we're getting some puppies. But yeah.
Yes.
I did put up Devon's beautiful book cover there, The Witch's Crystal, so you can check that out. That is her debut novel. Let's go to chat and say hello. Lindsay was the first here. Hello. Hope I can pop by later, leaving a like. I appreciate that, Lindsay. Thank you. And then I did put Devon's book link in the chat. It's also linked down below, but it is also pinned at the top of the chat in case if you want to find it. Dr. B, hello. Vanessa, it's nice to see you. And hi, Devon. Hi, SD and Devon. Hello, Miranda. Rita H. Happy Thursday. Thanks, Leslie. And Margaret, hello. RC Scott, hello. Malin, hello. Yes, I see the similarities. Yeah, lots of similarities. Yes. Didn't realize how much we had in common.
And we're both in Florida.
Yes. And I just read that your bio. I was like, oh, North Florida. But you must be, are you more on the east side?
I'm in Jacksonville.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I'm on the west side. I'm like less than an hour from the Alabama border.
Right.
Yeah, so really, really close. And how are you, lovelies? Good. 3 cats. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It sounds like it's right up my alley based on it. Yeah, I agree. Hello, Richard. How is it? Yes, it was hump day issue. I'm not going to put that up on screen. All right, so we are going to move into the question and answer portion. But if you have any questions for the author, go ahead and drop them in the chat with a Q. I will ask them, but they can be asked at any time. So even if we start playing the video game, if we start playing the fantasy game, you could drop. I don't play video games, so I have no idea where that came from. But you can still drop them in the chat. We'll ask at any time. Devon's book is great. Yay!
Thank you, Miranda.
Yeah. Now the game that we are playing later is Mad Libs, which does I have to get some names and, places, nouns, adjectives, all kinds of things from Devon. I've got a few ahead of time, so I've already got those plugged in, but there was like 26 altogether, and I think I got like 9 of them from you. So I'm going to ask them periodically while I will get some stuff from her, and she will, give me the names, and then I'll ask her questions so that she can answer, and I can plug this stuff into the words, not the names, into the story itself. And Devon, you can poll the chat and be like, hey, I don't know about this one. You guys give me an idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Great game for practicing grammar. Yes. I could say anything else. Let's see. Bring the right one over here. Okay, so let's start with the first 4. We need a historical period.
The end of magic.
Okay, an adjective. You can always throw it to the chat if you want to.
Yeah, throw out an adjective.
There's quite a few adjectives in this story, so anybody has any ideas, we can use them at any time. While we're waiting on the chat for that one, let's go to the next one. Name.
Let's say Derek.
Derek, okay. Check the chat. Okay, we got a couple. Prickly and crafty.
Let's go prickly.
Okay, I like that one too. I don't know what it's going to do for the story, but we'll see. This should be fun. All right, and the last one would be family member.
Kalmia.
Well, I think maybe like sister, brother, uncle, aunt, cousin.
Yes.
Oh, what did you say?
Kalmia. Kalima.
Kalima.
Yes.
Okay. What does that mean?
That is one of the main characters' husband or cousins.
It's a cousin.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I will ask you the first question. So the first question I have is the same I've asked of everyone, which is what drew you to write in the fantasy romance genre. But I have a feeling that you don't really classify this as fantasy romance. It's probably more of a romantic fantasy. That's what I kind of get. I'm only about 25% of the way through. There seems to be maybe some romantic tension there, but there's not a whole lot yet in the story.
Not yet.
Yeah. So just tell us what drew you to write in this genre for your book.
Basically, pretty much any book that I've ever picked up had some element of romance in it. It always added to the plot, added to the characters, that behind the action, it was that poking of the character, like,
Okay. And do you consider this more, because I saw it was like a category of dark fantasy, but I know sometimes even if we put a category onto our books, Amazon changes it because it's done it to me already. Yes. So do you consider it a dark fantasy?
I do consider it a dark fantasy, just with the amount of action and heavier elements of dark magic and just a lot of death, a lot of undertone of death.
I mean, there's talk of a massacre so far as I'm in the book so far, but I don't think there has been anybody who's died yet, as far as I know.
Not yet, but it comes up so often, and it does affect all of the characters.
Yeah.
Because,
it's like underlying their motivation for what they do.
Yeah, it underlines everyone's motivation. A lot of revenge.
I think I did pick that up. All right, so let's talk about The Witch's Crystal, your debut novel. Can you tell us about the book?
Secrets. There, I'm not sure, about 25% in. Amabel has a spell on her to alter everyone's memories, and she plays off on it.
I mean, I know about the curse that's on her that she took for her family, and I kind of got a clue that she could alter memories because I think she knows Tanis. Like, they knew each other before, and he finds her, he thinks he remembers her, but he can't place her. So right. I figured there's something going on there that she knows more than what she's sharing.
Yep. And that also plays into, can Derek and Tanis really trust her?
Yeah, I don't know how much Derek knows of it. I haven't got that far yet.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let me get some more words from you. I've got 3 adjectives and I need a name. Did you want to take any of the other adjectives that were already thrown up?
Yeah, we'll take an adjective.
I got
crafty.
And then secret.
Yes.
You want to take both of those?
Yes. Oh, I like cunning too.
Okay, you want me to just use all 3 of those?
Yeah, you go ahead, all 3. And name, Liska.
Okay, you'll have to give me just a second. Do you know that I'm partially tone deaf? I don't know if you've been around when I've said that.
No, not at all. I did not know that.
Yeah, so when some words are said, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to understand what that word is. What was it? Crafty. Secret. Do you know the what do they call that? You know, when you do letters by like the military?
Oh, yes.
Do
Alpha
that?
Bravo.
Is this the name?
Liska. L Lima, I Igloo, S Sierra, K Kilo, A Alpha.
Okay, got it. All right, ask you the next.
It's been a long time since I've spelled out that way.
The military phonetics, yeah.
Yes.
Geoff, it's Jeff. and Richard said romantasy. So yeah, I mean, romantasy comes from putting romantic fantasy together. But if you look at the demographic of buyers, romantasy also includes fantasy romance. So it's becoming more of a blanket term for all fantasy that has any type of romance in it.
Yes.
All right. So the story revolves around the witch's crystal, which is front and center on the cover. What else can you tell us about the crystal, the goal for the crystal, how it influences the motivations of the characters in the book without, giving away too many spoilers?
The crystal is basically an amplifier of power. So those who aren't powerful enough to conduct a spell, they can use that to enhance it and make it more efficient and better. As there's a lot of background story into the crystal, and I have several short stories about it that happens way back when, like how it was lost and everything like that. The main problem is getting to it and the dangers involved in that.
Which it's not in the world where they're at, right?
No, it's in the netherworld.
Netherworld. Okay. I kind of did get that, but at the same time, I was a bit confused about how she was anchoring it, but she was anchoring it in the netherworld to the world that they're in. Okay.
Yep. That way they could follow that link to get directly to it without a whole lot of extra searching.
Like 10. Just got one more word to fill in here. Oh, I missed the word. I'll have to come back to it. Is it green like it is on your cover?
It does not start off as green. It turns green when it's activated.
I was wondering because I mean I don't know that it was described too much, but I didn't get the sense that it was green. I don't remember what I read now.
A lot of the history has been lost on it because it's been gone for around 500 years. So they're just basing it off of reports that they've read about.
I always go random words: A for alabaster, B for banana, C for corrupt. Apparently, it's known as the NATO phonetic alphabet. Learned something new. I didn't know that.
Oh.
Q pocket dimension. Yes. Yeah. It's the netherworld. It's like its own. We haven't made it there yet. She's anchored it. It's tied to Tanis. He can read the spell on it, I think, so he can find it. And right now they're getting ready to go there. They just met up with the Elven, king, I think it was.
Guide.
The guide. He's
a chief.
Okay.
Of one of the other clans.
Gotcha. And he's married, no? Is it the female? The female elf that's married to the...
The female is married to Amabel's cousin,
Okay.
Basil.
Yeah. And that's where, so I just got to that scene and learning about how Basil kind of puts, his mission ahead of his marriage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hello, Kay. How are you? Nice to see your faces. Nice to see you. Let's get a few more words from you. So we've got magical object.
Okay. We can use the crystal.
I was going to say crystal.
Yes, we'll use the crystal.
Right? Mythical location. It could be the netherworld.
Yes.
Netherworld. Okay.
Yep.
And then 2 nouns.
2 nouns. Who wants to give a noun?
Yeah. You guys might give
a noun.
Filling this in. We'll go to the chat, see what they say. We got a question. We'll ask that one next. Fun times. Catastrophe.
Yes.
Okay. That's 1 noun. We need 1 more.
Are you on affinity?
Affinity? Okay. Let me put this one in. And then I'll write affinity. I should make my story shorter, but I keep on going. I'm like, okay. All right. The question in the chat: do you have a family tree to help with all the character relations in the book?
I do include the family trees in the back of the book just because there are so many characters.
There are a lot of characters.
And Amabel's family is a large family.
And I didn't know that it was in the back of the book, but it probably was in the table of contents, which I have you gave me the ARC, so I have an ebook of it. So I probably didn't check the contents before I went through and did it. All right. What was your inspiration for writing the book?
Oh, my inspiration, it goes back to my childhood favorite reads. Not sure if anyone's familiar with David Eddings.
Mm-mm.
He wrote the Belgariad and the Malloreon back in the 1980s. And my mom handed it to me when I was 13 or 14 years old, and I read through all 10 books. Then my dad got me the Enchanted Forest Chronicles by Patricia Reed, also written in the 80s, and a collection of children's stories centered around dragons and a magical sword. And then the Obsidian trilogy by Mercedes Lackey and James Malroy is my inspiration for Tanis from that main character. So yeah, like a mishmash of all 3 of those. Mainly the characters were my true inspirations.
I don't know. I don't really play D&D, but I've read a few books that are inspired by D&D, and I kind of felt like it has that flavor too.
I did play D&D when I was younger. I hadn't played since I graduated from high school. So, okay. But yeah, the adventure aspect of it all.
Yeah, and it's very much go, hit a quest, complete it. Here's what happens. Need to recharge. Then go, complete quest, recharge.
Yes.
Yeah. Margaret says thankful for the appendix family tree and maps at the beginning too. I love that. Yeah, I did see the maps. Yeah. Love this cover. Some more love for the cover. All right, so this I am really curious about this, just from having read part of the book, which is that you mentioned that this is the last book in a planned series. So why did you write this book first?
So I originally wrote a short story for my mom to read, and I had no inclination of publishing or writing a novel. But when she read that, she said, "This is nice and all, but I want to know the whole story." So when I started writing The Witch's Crystal, I figured I could fit everything into one book. Close to halfway through, I knew that wasn't going to happen. So this one book turned into 5 books and offshoots already, because I can't even, it's not, there's still questions left unsaid at the end of this book. So I've got 2 more short stories after The Witch's Crystal.
How many books before this one?
4.
4. Okay, you just say that because I felt like 5 was the number, but I couldn't remember where I got that from. Yeah. So yeah, from reading it, I could say that I definitely feel like I'm coming in the middle, and that there's more that I should have known prior to coming in.
Yeah.
That would have helped me ground me a little bit better. But other than that, I mean, I'm enjoying the story. I love the turn of phrases. I'm going to talk about more in my live tomorrow because I'll be talking about the book. But that would be my one complaint, is that I do feel like there's so much that feels like it's already happened, that, when you said this was like the end of a series, like, that makes a lot of sense. Because I feel like I'm supposed to know some of this stuff previously, so that I'm not trying to catch up with what has happened already. But the turns of phrases, the writing style is very good. I don't know. I need to go back through and see if I can find some, but I don't know if people put that in the reviews. Your book review that I'm going to do on my channel tomorrow is the first one I'll ever have done by myself.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out and follow patterns of other people who review books, like Margaret. Margaret constantly reviews books on her channel. So, but yeah, too much book. I'm calling it Shannon.
Too much book.
Yeah. High school, that was yesterday, right?
Yeah, totally yesterday.
I mean, you do look really young, but with a husband and a 18-year-old about to graduate, yeah. Not that the husband makes you older, but
truthfully, today is my birthday, and I am 41.
Happy birthday. Wow. You. Okay, so another similarity. You just published your debut. Well, no, not quite similarity. You published your debut a few days before your 41st birthday. I published my debut after I turned 41.
Nice. So close.
Yes. So, it just seemed to be I was missing so much I need to know. So we'll see about that in the next few books. Yeah.
Yes.
I think this will be a really good book. Like once you have all the whole series done, then to read it in line with the other ones too, where a lot of it will make sense. Can I ask, does Tanis and Ambell, do they have a love interest? I'm like, I keep wanting it there. Sometimes it feels like it's just friendship between them, and then other times I feel like there's some romantic tension, and other times it's just friendship again. And I'm like,
I can't. Spoilers.
Okay.
There is a link to a short story at the end.
Okay. So that's a possible romantic subplot for them from that one. So yeah, my next question is, who's your favorite fantasy romance author? But I don't know if you actually, do you read much in fantasy romance, or do you read more?
I read so wide. I have to say the closest that comes to fantasy romance, I really enjoyed the Holly Black series, The Folk of the Air, with the enemies to lovers between, the Queen of Nothing, and a really, really slow burn over the course of 5 books where you only get hints at love interest, Lloyd Alexander in the Book of 3.
Okay.
But there's just so many. I like it all.
Yeah. I tend to default to, when people ask me like my favorite book or my favorite author, I tend to default whoever I read last, or whoever I liked the best last, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a favorite fantasy romance author right now since last year, but before last year, I wouldn't have been able to say. But yes, wanting to know, warring with trying to be a state. Yes, I know. Okay, let's get some more words. We need 2 adjectives and a difficult choice.
A difficult choice. To break the spell or not break the spell.
And are we polling chat for 2 more adjectives?
Yes.
I think there was, nope, those were nouns. Lloyd Alexander, old school.
Right.
And 2 adjectives chat if you guys would like to supply. And we are trying to say somewhat fantasy romance themed. So anything along those lines would work too.
I'm trying to think of cranky is a good one.
Cranky, I think we.
Oh, did we get cranky?
Oh no, it was crafty. Okay, crafty. So we'll do cranky. Alrighty, put that in there. Plug this in while we wait for another one. If you see one come up, you can just shout it out and I can add it to the sheet.
Amusing.
Amusing? Okay. All right, the last question I have for you is, what is your favorite fantasy or romance trope and why?
I love rivals to lovers, not necessarily enemies to lovers, but just, you know, they're in a competition with each other. Forced proximity and arranged marriages. Those are my favorite because you never know. It's always that aha moment for each character when they actually get to the point of showing affection or the falls first. Who's going to fall first?
I like the forced proximity one. I always thought I wouldn't like arranged marriage, but I've read a couple books recently that was arranged marriage. Actually, one of the authors who came on the show, she had arranged marriage in hers, and I really liked how she handled it, the trope. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, I could do that, I think.
Yeah.
So, well, that brings us to the end of my questions. Again, in the chat, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask at any point, you're welcome to drop them in, and I will get them asked. We'll make sure we check in several times. So we are going to move on to the fun and games, which we are doing Mad Libs Fantasy Edition. And it looks like I just need 3 more to fill in the rest of the story, and then I can read it. So these are all different. So we'll start with the first one. First one is Family Secret.
Family Secret.
You've got lots of secrets in your book.
There's so many, like, even within the family, there's secrets. Shoot. Secret quests.
Okay. Unlikely ally.
Herod. Herod.
Oh, is that person's name?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think in this case, they're looking more of a common noun versus a proper noun.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like it could be a cat, a dragon, an enemy, an old friend.
An old friend.
Okay. And then powerful emotion.
Would bold work? Bold?
I don't know if bold's maybe courage, maybe.
Courage. No? There you go.
Trying to think of. Yeah. Okay, that works. All right, let me plug these in, and I think I'll check through real quick, and I think that will do it. I think I've kept up getting all of these in here. And of course, my computer decides my computer's like getting slower because I keep putting too much stuff on here.
Right. It's all the tabs.
Yes, that too. Okay, I think I have everything filled in. So, okay, we can read this one. Okay. In the kingdom of Gion, during the era of the end of magic, there lived a prickly prince named Derek. The royal cousin Kalima was under a crafty curse cast by a secret witch from the neighboring open plains. Desperate to break the curse, Derek sought the help of a renowned sorcerer named Liska, who was said to possess a cunning crystal. This object was the key to their salvation, but was guarded by a whimsy dragon in the netherworld. Together with a horde of dragons and armed with nothing but their catastrophe and affinity, they embarked on a perilous journey. Along the way, Derek and Liska discovered a guilt between them that was as cranky as the most potent of spells. Okay. Upon reaching 13 Netherworld, I forgot to put this in here. Upon reaching the Netherworld, they were met not by a beast, but by a flirtatious dragon who spoke in riddles and offered them a choice, to break a spell or not. The decision would not only determine their fate, but the fate of the entire kingdom. As Derek made the amusing choice, the witch appeared, revealing a shocking secret about Derek's secret quest that changed everything. With this new knowledge, Derek and Liska devised a strategic coup, combining their strengths in a way no one expected. In the end, the curse was not just broken, but the kingdom was united, and the witch's mistake of confusing a close friendship with romantic affection was resolved. The dragon became their old friend, and Derek and Liska's love became a tale told throughout the ages, reminding all of the power of courage and incorruptibility. Okay, that actually made some sense. Let's see. Radiance by Grace. Devon was arranged by marriage and it slays. Okay. Nosy neighbor. Oh, I think that was for one of our.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I actually like that. It made some sense. It wasn't as funny as like one night I had. It was really funny, but I think it turned out well. So.
Yeah, I like it. I'm writing down this book so I can look at it later.
Radiance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a fantasy romance, Margaret? Just curious. Wrong button. Alrighty, well, we have finished the game. We're going to go into doing the writing sprint, which, and then, of course, the game and the writing sprint is the author's choice. In this case, Devon chose to have a random fantasy writing prompt. So I found what was the easiest was just getting a bunch of fantasy romance writing prompts together and just have you choose a number. In this case, we have 1 through 20.
12. 12.
Yeah, fantasy romance, highly recommend. Cool. All right. In a land of talking animals, a wolf and a deer, natural enemies find themselves inexplicably drawn to each other. This actually reminds me of the Irish Smiths because there's a lot of people turn into deer. So, for the writing sprint, the people in the chat, you do not have to do the prompt that is there. You can do whatever it is that you want to work on, even if that is like, you've got some reading to do or housework or real job outside of YouTube. And then, do you think you'll attempt the writing prompt?
I will.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We do have something. I have to step away to prep for a meeting. All right. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Let me add the timer. And then if you're ready, we'll go in 3, 2, 1, and go. And that is time. How did you do? Oh, you're muted.
There we go. Better. I wrote a short little story on the prompt.
Okay.
Yep.
I have a hard time working off of a prompt and coming up with something like right now. Very rarely does it hit me. Like I can write down ideas, like I could do this or I could do that, and if they do this, then this is what could happen next. And but I was not feeling that story at all.
No.
I don't know why. I thought it would be a good one for my world, but I couldn't make a connection. So
I did something completely different. I have a tendency to. I'm a discovery writer.
Me too.
So I started off with the scenery and went from there.
I think I get into my mind, right? My brain, I don't know, what do you call it? Where I'm thinking now where everything I write should somehow fit into my world, because I feel like I should stop writing outside of my world if I'm ever going to want to get this story going. So yeah, because like for my my book, A Curse of Scales and Feathers, that's my my debut into fantasy romance. That was a Kickstarter last year. Well, it did really well, and we hit a stretch goal where I was going to write a alternate point of view story of another couple in the book that get together and have their own romance, and it was going to be a short story, and it turned into a novel. And I finished it right like at the end of January. And I kept thinking to myself, oh my God, I can't even sell this like on retailer platforms because it gives away too many spoilers for the mysteries that are in the main novel. So this is only for my Kickstarter backers. And I'm like, I spent all this time writing a novel for something I can't even sell, you know? And I was like, man, I need to stop doing this. I need to like concentrate on writing stuff that can sell, but that I also want to write, which I do like my world. So I want to write my world. So
great.
we had a few people come in, and there's some questions, so we can get to ask you some questions too. Padgett coming out. Well, happy birthday, Devon. Scrolling back to see what I missed.
Thank
Rachel
you.
Oh, sorry. Happy belated Valentine's Day to everybody. Have to catch the replay. Lost track of time in the barn. No problem. And here is the question Rachel asked all of the writers. What is the hardest part of your favorite book to write? So I don't know if, I mean, this is your debut, but you've probably written stories before this and lots of stories before this. So.
All of the stories that I've written before were basically short. There's no, it's not extended. It cuts right to the point. The hardest part about this is that murky middle aspect. I was so worried how the middle of the book, people are going to be like snooze fest and just not want to be into it. So that was the hardest part, the middle.
Do you find that, because I find that too, I'm a discovery writer. I also like Becca Syme's term, which is intuitive writer, which like we intuitively know like character development, story arcs, but it's kind of like in our subconscious, and we have to find ways to access it to get it onto the page. And sometimes that's just writing, sometimes it's talking it out with somebody. And something she had said made a whole lot of sense to me, because I had just gone through this loop with my husband for I don't know the 25th time, where I'd start talking like, hey, I want to do this, but I'm not really sure what I want to do. And he'll throw out all these ideas, and I always discard them. Like, well, that doesn't work because of this, or that doesn't work because of that. And several times he'd be like, I don't know what help I am. And I always said, well, you are helping. I don't know how, but it helps. So what Becca Syme said for intuitive writers is that we like subconsciously, we know what it is we need to do, but we can't access the information. And by talking it out and someone giving us ideas and us discarding them, we're finally getting to the point where we can access information that works for our story. And I was like, that makes sense. I told my husband, he said he felt so much better. So, but with that in mind, the soggy middle, the muddy middle, the muggy middle, whatever you want to call it, it always gets me too. Same.
Yeah.
I always know my beginnings, my endings. I just don't know how I'm getting to the endings a lot of times. Hello, Heather. How are you? Oh, got another question from Rachel. Hello, Rachel. How did you tackle keeping up with your multiple points of view? Because, you do have a lot of points of view.
Yeah, I don't feel that I didn't tackle it so much as, believe it or not, this version has less points of view than the original did. It was a natural thing to hop heads. I just needed to figure out the best way of hopping heads. But
Mm.
other than that, I didn't have too many issues with the different POVs.
And I mean, you make it clear too in the book. There's a clear scene break each time you change a point of view. So as far as the reader perspective, it's clear. But yeah, it's interesting to see, okay, how did you do it from the writer perspective? So I always have multiple points of view going on in my head too. Like I know what other characters are doing, but because I am writing more of it's hard to say traditional fantasy romance when fantasy romance as a genre is only a few years old. But a traditional romance is usually going to be like the female perspective and or the male female perspective. Or if you have a polyamorous relationship, it's all the perspectives, or male male or female female. You have the pairings or the groups. You get the romance people, which we've had Derek, and that's why I was like, Derek. So how does he fit into this with the perspectives? So from when I wrote my fantasy romance, I decided to go with stick with the traditional what romance does is from the romance pairing. But in my head, I knew what was going on with the other characters. Like I said, I have another romance is happening in the background of the main book. And so I know what was going on with them like the whole time, but it's like, how do you how do you show this or not show it? Right.
Yeah.
Love is in the air everywhere I look around. Dropping in for a brief serenade, hitting the like button. Thank you. Hellos. Oh, good question. Because I typically stick to 1 or 2 POV and get overwhelmed otherwise. I don't know. I mean, they're all talking in my head. I don't feel like I ever get overwhelmed with mine, though. What about you?
I don't get overwhelmed.
Okay.
No, it's completely natural, especially when you have. I always love reading where there's a character completely outside of the whole situation and their perspective of it.
Yeah, so the current book I'm working on is the second book in the series. I have a character who has his own thing going on, but he doesn't have a romance. I'm like, I don't know how I can work him in. But I have I'm writing all his chapters in my head, and I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever write them, but yeah. But he's seeing everything from an outside perspective. Like he's kind of stepping back from a few things, and then he's got his own motivations on something else happening over here, So I'm new to Pro Writing Aid, so still adjusting to their suggestions, however, moving through this chapter. Awesome. I'm glad you made some progress.
Yeah.
I like Pro Writing Aid for the because I've got the lifetime subscription, or whatever you call it, lifetime, whatever you have on the thing. Yeah. The only thing I would say is I don't know, they don't keep up with all of the new. The only thing I found this with was commas, because most editors use the Chicago manual style for editing, and recently Chicago CMOS they changed some of their comma rules. Like you used to have a comma after an introductory phrase, but now if the introductory phrase is only a word or two, you're not supposed to use it. So like you say, like afterward, comma, he did this. Used to be a comma there. Now they're saying no comma there, but Pro Writing Aid will still tell you put a comma there. So it doesn't.
I disabled that rule and left it up to my editor.
Gotcha.
I couldn't with it anymore.
I taught college English and literature for many years. And I also ran my own business as a writing coach, which I was mostly doing editing. So, and I stay up to date with a lot of this stuff. And I used Chicago manual style for my editing projects.
Okay.
Hi there, Rachel. I love multiple POV, but I always ask because someone might have a better method than my chaos.
I have to say, when I deleted a lot of the POVs, unnecessary POVs, it was because my beta readers. It's too much. This doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
When you deleted your POVs, did you keep those chapters somewhere, like in a save file?
Well, it's not, the POVs aren't for the whole chapter. So I literally had a paragraph with a completely different character on their POV entering a situation. It didn't need to be there at all.
What I'm thinking is like right now I'm setting up a Ream account. I'm still going through the process of putting everything together. But on there, like I can offer things to my subscribers that nobody would find, anywhere else. And even if you have like just a paragraph, that would be like a cool annotation, because in Ream it allows you to like put comments in certain wherever, all throughout your document, you can put comments like, this is what I was thinking for this. And this is what I was thinking for this. And so you can put an annotation. There's this character was thinking this at the time, or something like that,
Oh,
cool.
That's cool.
Cool little tidbits for your people who subscribe to you, or if you ever do a model like that, or just anything else. I knew another writer, she doesn't do subscriptions, but what she did was that she did an annotated copy of her book. Like she put little, here's what I was thinking for this. Here's an image that informed me on this. And she did like that to give away to people who bought the book, the pre-order book.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
Yeah. So different little things. I always keep everything. Yeah. You never know how you can use it in the future. Murky middle of the books as well as the series itself. It's tough. Yes. The second book in my series was, because I have a trilogy, that was the hardest. Have you written the 4 books already for this?
I am going through book 2. I'm going like way back to the beginning of everything.
Before the massacre and all of that.
Yeah. How everything builds up to that. The bad guy's origin story is included and all of that. So I've got an ish out. I can't even call it an outline because I don't outline.
Right.
Up 3 and 4. Up to 3 and 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you finding those middle books harder?
No, because the best part about writing this, which is Crystal, the end first, is I know what's supposed to happen. I just need to place it in the correct order.
Yeah. I scarce have problems with the middle, but it's that bit between middle and end when I know I need to close a story, but I kind of don't want to leave the world. I've been there.
Yes.
I especially felt that for so you wrote your last book first, but when I was writing my last book in my trilogy, knowing that this was the end, I felt really sad to leave the book.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, the way that Devon did it was effective in terms of switching POV. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Does Baron and Luthien count as fantasy romance? I don't know who they are. Do you know who she's talking about?
No, I don't.
Yeah, me neither. I love having various characters, even if they have a part of the situation, but they have a different take on the drama.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the talking in my head that gets overwhelming. It's trying to put it on page and my ADD being very unhelpful and how to organize it to make sense and not look out of place.
Okay, so how I did it, because I had ADHD, it's probably backwards, but I just wrote everything out and then shifted where everything needed to be, because I was stopping too much, trying to make sure I was in line and trying to keep up with notes in my notebook on where everything should be. It just got too much. So I just wrote everything out and then switched it around.
So I've not been diagnosed with ADHD, but it runs my family and my doctor thinks I have it. I just haven't taken the test to do it or whatever. And she says that I self-medicate by doing caffeine in the morning. And she said people with low ADHD, caffeine does the opposite for them. It doesn't wake them up. It calms their brain down.
It does. Yes.
So, yeah. So, but I do the same thing. I write everything out and then I do a reverse outline and then I see what do I need to move around? What do I need to take out? That kind of stuff. But yeah, I do the same thing.
Definitely making headers in your document so you have that sidebar.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I do it by like I call them scenes before I turn them into chapters, because multiple scenes could be in a chapter. But I'll say, and it is not going to be like a chapter heading. It's just a scene that like she does this, and so I'm like, okay, this is a scene where she's doing this.
Yeah. Yep, so, I do the same thing.
Okay. And that makes it easy to find, and then I can start figuring out what chapters and everything will go. And so and one of my series, I started with 2 POV, and then book 2, I added 2 more POV, and then there's another series with 8+ POV. That's all a lot.
Yes.
I am actually going to be taking on something similar to this. So my series is called The Brides of the Dragon Kings. It's 4 brothers under a curse. And so, of course, it's breaking the curse for each of the 4. Now, the one who actually did the curse was the love interest of the 4th brother. So the first 3 books take place all about the same time. So I have to know what's going on in each of the brothers' stories because they communicate with each other. They cross into each other's storylines. So the first 3 books are standalones. They can be read in any order. But the 4th book, and I thought it was just going to be a 4-book series, but I've decided that with the 4th book, I'm going to make that into its own series within the series. And I don't know how I'm going to do this yet, but I want to bring back all the other 3 brothers and their love interests, bring them all together to help with breaking the overall curse. They've each individually broke their own curse, but they need to break the overall curse that's on the land.
Right.
So I'm going to have 8 POVs in that series.
Yes.
It'll get quite wild. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, honestly.
What program do you use?
Mostly just Word.
Me too. I just use
I back
Word.
it up in Google. So especially if I've been spending a lot of time in my office, I back it up on Google anyways, but it's not always consistent. But I'll make sure that I have a clean document there when I know that, okay, I've been in my office a lot. I need to go spend time with the family. But then, I'm not really into what all the boys want to watch on TV. So then I get on my laptop and start working.
Yes.
I'm still there paying attention. I think because in dual POV I swap characters rather than head hop, but I worry head hopping with get out of hand for me. So I think Devon used the word head hop, but to me it was switching POVs.
Right. I was definitely head hopping in my first and second draft. That was head hopping. It took a learning process to do the actual POV switch.
Yeah. I did the same thing because early fantasy, that's the way it was set up. There was a lot of head hopping early fantasy.
Yeah.
So, and we grew up reading that.
Yep.
So I disabled the rules I didn't like about commas.
Yeah.
There's no rules. I'm stream hopping, but staying for the Oxford comma talk. Well, the Oxford comma, I use the Oxford comma, but the one I was talking, I don't remember the original term. I call it the introductory comma because I used to teach the commas to my, I called it lies. So you have lists, introductory, explanatory, and series. And series was the Oxford comma. So lies, comma, the lies of commas. And so I use those 4 of the acronym to explain how to use each comma that should be used in your writing. And that's how I taught it to my English students. So goodbye, pants. Oxford commas forever. Yes. As an editor, I'm all for consistency, whatever the author chooses. Yeah. I think that's important too. I mean, if there are authors, there is a trend going on right now. I've been seeing it more because of the fact that I do it and I've had my editor pick it out on me, which is starting sentences with conjunctions like, and, that kind of, but I've been finding that a lot more in writing now. And what I've always felt is that it helps with flow, with the writing flow or reading flow. So, yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I can break this rule. As long as it makes sense, I can break this rule. My editor loads the Oxford comma, and half the time she's right. There doesn't need to be a comma there. The other half of the time, I don't care. I'm keeping the comma. Chaos Goblin. Oxford commas usually are necessary for clarity. Yes. Yes. So if your editor is saying you don't need it, then you don't actually have a rule that pertains to the Oxford comma. Then what you have is what I call the E comma, the extraneous comma. So that's information that is separate from, but adds more information to the subject of the sentence. So I'm usually off at Oxford comma. Context is everything. Baron with the end is a tale from Tolkien. Oh, well.
Oh.
I couldn't read Tolkien. I'm sorry. His writing bored me. I love this story.
I only did the audiobooks.
Yeah, I couldn't. I've tried a few times to get into it. It's just too boring for me.
It's very dry.
Yes. But I love the stories. I love the stories that I've seen made into movies because I can get through those. Plot twist, dream team. Oh, I don't know that. Teamwork makes the dream work because Luthien goes to the Baron to help him get the treasure. Okay, it's actually my favorite love stories.
Gotcha.
Because I can't contain myself. In Lord of the Rings, Aragorn had called Arwen Lady Luthien when he first saw her, referencing her beauty. History repeats because they end up together. Aww. Some good Lord of the Rings lore. And it's decades old. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly where I got head hopping. Early fantasy. Yep. On Tolkien's grave and the grave of his wife, there's also a second name engraving on J.R.R. It's buried on his wife is Luthien. Oh, I did not know that.
That's so sweet.
Yes. Force myself to shift POVs with each scene chapter to keep confusion to minimum. Yeah, I do. I start new chapters. So, and that does mean that sometimes I have chapters that are like 400 to 600 words long because I switch chapters when I change POV. Because I name my chapters after the POV character just to keep it straight. As he wrote this romance, adventure, fantasy world for her. Different types of commas. Lies of commas. We need more men like Aragon. All righty. All right. So if you guys have any other final questions, we're going to get ready to start wrapping up the chat here. But before we do wrap up the chat, I do want to talk with Devon about, where am I at my sheet here? All Call Indie. It's a place where you host a platform that offers a home to freelancers who specialize in indie publishing. I'd love for you to plug it and what it can offer for everybody.
It started with me trying to find like a map maker or an editor or anything. And I have all of these people and other authors that I follow that do all of these different services, but I endlessly scrolling to find them through their posts between their books and their services. I said, hey, why don't I just like make a database where everyone can be in one place? It was fun to put together, and I was very thankful that my critique partner assisted me with that because it was a larger task than I thought it would have been. So that's how that got started. And every quarter I always put out if there's anybody new, because as indie authors, we're picking up new skills and we want to help our fellow authors with this and maybe, you know, try and work from home doing what we love best. So I add to the database at the end of every quarter.
So if you guys know of anyone who offers services or you offer services, and if you're not on here, get with Devon and get onto All Call Indie.
Yep. I have discovered that I enjoy formatting so much that I might dip into that.
Heather says, I think Tolkien was meant to be dry. Making fun of himself. I mean, he knew linguistics. I think he was a linguistics professor, maybe.
Uh-huh. And I think he was in both world wars.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Psyche and Eros is another top favorite, a god and a mortal working against Aphrodite so they can be together. Yeah, I love that story of Psyche and Eros. Okay. Yeah. We are going to get ready to wrap everything up. If you guys have any last minute questions, now's the time. Thank you, Devon, so much for coming on the channel and agreeing to be here.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun.
This has been a lot of fun this month. I've really enjoyed getting a chance to talk to all these authors about their work and find out more about them and their writing.
Oh, so many more books added to my to-be read pile, too.
Right. Check the chat one last time. I don't see anything else there. All right. Thank you, everyone in the chat for coming and joining us today. Next on Charm Chats and Happily Ever After Sprints, I'll have guest author Jillian Witt on the show. Now, this is Saturday, so there's no author tomorrow. So Saturday, the 17th of February at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, we will be back on with another Charmed Chats. And find the right button. Here we go. All right. And that will do it. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.